From the early years of American television, Edward R. Murrow calls on the nation's headliners. Person to person.
Good evening. I'm Ed Murrow. The name of the program is Person to Person. It's all live, there's no film. Tonight we'll be visiting first with musician and composer Duke Ellington. Edward Kennedy Ellington is one of America's top flight musicians. He was born in Washington, D.C. 57 years ago. Duke Ellington spent some of his teenage years, all of his adult time, composing music and leading a band around this country and abroad. Duke started with a six-piece band during World War I. In time, his band became one of the most exciting in the business. And in his 2,000 pieces of music, the critics found a style that contains the succinctness of concert music and the excitement of jazz. Duke Ellington is still working, almost always on the road, shuttling from city to city, from hotel to hotel. But he keeps his home ties here, on the top floor of this New York apartment building. That's the second one from the right, overlooking the Hudson River, with his sister, Mrs. Ruth James. Evening, Duke. How are you?
Hi, Ed. How are you?
Fine.
Good.
That's a very familiar scene. Duke Ellington at his piano.
Yeah, nothing happening with it, though.
Well, you look a little lonely without your band.
Oh, yeah. Well, look, the band is in Philadelphia playing right now. They're playing over there for the Potentate's Ball, the Pyramid Lodge of the Shriners, the temple.
Uh-huh.
And I'm going to chase right over there real madly as soon as I visit with you.
Well, Duke, is that the piano you used to compose your thousands of tunes?
Oh, yeah, this is the piano from the old homestead where my mother and father and the whole family were, and a lot of exciting things have come out of here. Some of my most satisfying works.
Duke, can you remember when you first became really conscious of music?
Oh, yes, very well. My mother used to buy sheet music and play it on the piano, and I'll always remember her playing Meditation. It used to make me cry.
Uh-huh.
That's a picture of my mother over there on that wall. This was taken after she moved to New York, and, that must have been, well, I imagine she was almost 50 when this was taken.
Uh-huh.
And over here is a picture of my father. He, of course, that's a very early picture of him, but they're both our favorites. This is taken when he was about 18 or 20.
Uh-huh.
James, he played piano too, but by ear, and had a tremendous sense of humor.
Duke, at what age did you start composing?
Oh, I would say when I first started playing the piano, which is at 14.
14 or 15?
Yeah.
What was the first thing you composed?
A thing called the Soda Fountain Rag.
Soda Fountain Rag. Yeah. How did it go?
Well, listen, I can't play that. It's too difficult.
Duke, those trophies behind you there, are those some of the Ellington honors?
Oh, yes. These are some of the honors, the Hall of Fame, some other downbeat plaques, the Esquire trophies, my Alpha Phi Alpha, the Kappa Gamma Psi, the Key to Various City, the Page One Awards, and, got a lot of things here.
Well, Duke Ellington, as we both know, bands come and go. How do you account for the fact that yours has been up there for so long, that it's constantly in demand for, more than 30 years now, isn't it?
Well, it'll be 30 years the 4th of December, 1957. And, we just like it, and we just stay in it. That's it.
Have you changed your style very much?
Well, we sort of parallel what's happening in the United States at the time, That's the way it is with jazz, I think. When Dixieland came along, that's when the sort of leftover from the pioneer things, and the rather rugged things. Mm-hmm. And then it moved up, and when Bop got here, it paralleled the tempo of all of the war things, and the modern improvements.
Well, of course, staying up there means a lot more than just hard work, doesn't it?
Oh, it's about 80% luck. Good luck, that is. My idea of good luck is being at the right place at the right time, doing the right thing before the right people.
And if you have all of those combinations, then you're there. Is that right?
It's good luck, yeah.
Well, Duke, if you credit so much to luck, what do you count as your luckiest day?
Oh, I would say possibly the day we auditioned for the Cotton Club job. That was the first time I'd attempted having a big band. I got 11 guys together, and we went up, and of course, as was rather normal for us, we were a couple hours late getting there, and while we were late getting there were 4 or 5 other bands auditioned for the job. But when we got there, we got the job because the guy who makes all the decisions was late, too, and he only heard us. And so the right time doesn't necessarily mean prompt.
Well, Duke, in all the traveling you've done since those Cotton Club days, I gather you haven't had too much time for family life, have you?
Well, no, not nearly as much as I'd like to. But I'll tell you, we've got a couple of family here in the household tonight, the old homestead. There's my sister Ruth and my son Mercer.
Good evening, Mrs. James.
Good evening, Mr. Morrow.
Evening, Mercer.
How are you, Mr. Morrow?
Mrs. James, I gather you keep the home fire burning for your wandering brother, is that right?
Well, I try to do that, Mr. Morrow, but he's not the only member of the family who's wandering. My son Michael, for instance, is wandering in Mexico with his father right now, whereas Stephen is downstairs looking at us on TV at a neighbor's house.
Uh-huh. Mercer, are you interested in music?
Yes, I am, Mr. Morrow. I do some writing of my own. I have a record company, but most of the time I'm engaged with the legwork for my father.
I gather you're going to drive him to Philadelphia tonight.
Yes, I will.
Duke, I know that among other things, you're regarded as one of America's greatest jazz composers. What do you consider the most important thing you've ever done?
Well, this is a very timely question. It just so happens that our latest effort, which is now released on Columbia Records, called A Drum is a Woman, I believe to be our most substantial contribution. A Drum is a Woman is a fantasy, a little romantic fantasy, which we developed, and we consider it parallel to the history of jazz, in spite of the fact that we don't actually follow it in chronological order. We don't want to use it as as a form of teaching jazz, but we just wanted to do a little entertaining fantasy. And I have a record here. I'd like for you to hear a little bit of this. This is part of it, one of the dances. Earthy sax.
Mm-hmm.
An ethereal harp. And then we're going to a 3/4 thing here.
Yes?
This is, that's part of the ballet of the Flying Saucers. Oh, incidentally, this is Satin Doll. Did you ever see any of my paintings?
Yes?
I painted this. It's Satin Doll.
Uh-huh.
Back to the ballet of the Flying Saucers. It's the ballet in Drum is a Woman. And incidentally, we're going to be playing that, or we're going to do the whole thing with a large cast on the United States Steel on May the 8th. So I hope you'll be listening in.
Right. Duke, exactly what does it mean, a drum is a woman?
Well, I arrive at it in this way. I say, there are musicians who will often say to their wives, say, well, here you are, sweetie, take a couple of dollars and go to the movies and have a ball. You know, I want to be at home alone and at peace with my instrument. And by this token, I say that a drum is a woman, and that is the history of jazz.
Well, Duke, in general, how do you describe your music?
Well, I would say that we try to capture the natural sounds of just the people. That's all. The people who are around us. A man walks down the street and he's whistling a tune, or a guy's working or something, and they're humming at the same time. It's just we want to absorb what's natural with the people. That's all.
Well, then you've built your music on sounds you've heard, experiences, and people you've known.
Right.
And I know that you have a considerable facility with words, too. Does that help?
Oh, yes, I think there's a very close relationship with words and music. I think so. For instance, I would say now, let's take this thing, for instance. This would be shock. And this, of course, is parallel to the picture. Satin doll.
Duke, tell me this. Do you write music only when you're inspired, or do you feel compelled to work at it ever so often?
Well, I think, I don't think there's a formula for it or a format or anything. I think that sometimes you get a situation, something that you want to describe, a mood or some person, and you go about the business of doing it. And then on the other hand, well, you apparently are not striving for anything, and just a melody just comes in and hits you, and you just have no defense against it, and so there you are with maybe sometimes with a hit on your hands.
Well, now, what about Mood Indigo, for example?
Well, I wrote that in 15 minutes while I was waiting for my mother to finish cooking dinner.
And Sophisticated Lady?
Well, I wrestled with that a little longer. I got about halfway through it and then had a long period of about 31 days debating as to which way I should go after that.
Duke, have you ever thought of giving up this tough schedule of a band leader and just devoting all your time to composing?
I should say not. I don't know what I would do if I did that. I mean, what do people do when they retire?
So you still want to stand in front of that band, do you?
It's a very wonderful thing for me because I like the idea of playing with music and writing, for instance, for an individual person who you know who's going to be the guy who's going to play it tomorrow night when you take the manuscript in. And this is it. I mean, and then you got to be a chronic tourist to stay in it this long, too. You see a different city every day. And it's like, well, we're going to be around here for a while. Did I tell you, we're playing next Friday at Hunter College, and on the 17th of April, we are playing at Town Hall. This particular concert is given for the benefit of the Herald Tribune Fresh Air Fund.
Oh, yes.
And then we go on to Chicago on the, well, no, that's the 3rd of April, where we play the multiple sclerosis benefit with the Chicago Symphony, Mr. Iturbe, Mr. Johnny Mercer, Mr. Godowski, and tremendous affair. And as a matter of fact, the finale has 5 concert grand pianos on the stage at one time.
Well, Duke, I know you're anxious to get down to
well,
Philadelphia to join your band. Thanks very much for letting us come tonight. And will you say goodnight to Mrs. James and to Mercer for us? Good night, Duke.